Hey student, watch this video and learn about prepositions. More specifically, how to study prepositions in English. Coming up. Hello my friends, I'm Teacher Prix and I'm here to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. First of all, as usual, thank you so much for joining me on another English video. If you don't know me very well, I'm Priscilla. From Monday to Friday, I post different kinds of English lessons to help English learners from all over the world become better and more confident English speakers. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. If you're watching the replay, let me know in the comments what you thought about this lesson. Make sure to subscribe because, as you know, there are many videos every week for you. All right. Let's dive into the content, how to study prepositions in English. And I decided to make this video because I got this question on my Instagram. I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram, but I do have an Instagram account, Teacher Prix. So if you want to follow me there, I'm always replying, answering questions from my followers. It's a more direct interaction. So if you have an Instagram, make sure to check my Instagram and follow me, and I may answer your question. Why not? And I got this question from a follower, and I answered his question, and then I decided to make this video because I thought, hey, maybe the people on YouTube have the same question. Maybe they are studying prepositions and they feel a little confused, they feel a little lost. So that's my intention, okay? Here, I'm not going to explain the rules of prepositions. That's not it. I'm going to talk about strategies you can use to study prepositions. Now, I do have a question for you guys. Would you like a preposition series here on the channel? As you know, you guys decide what I make. I'm always trying, the videos I make. So I'm always trying to get your suggestions. So would you like a preposition series here on the channel? If the answer is yes, tell me here in the chat. Yes, please. Let me know here in the chat, and if you are watching the replay, of course I want to know your opinion. Let me know in the comments as well. Say yes please, and I will know that you watched and you are answering my question. How to study prepositions. Tip number one. Well, before I give you tip number one, guys, I'm gonna be completely honest, and you guys may know this already, or maybe you don't feel this way, but the journey doesn't end. And I don't mean to be negative here, okay? That's not my intention to be negative. But the journey will never end. Prepositions will never stop being a challenge for you. I am a fluent speaker. I have been studying English since I was 14 years old for sure. 14 or 15 years old. So I've been studying English for quite some time. And prepositions are a challenge for me, Teacher Prix, no native speaker. I will never be a native speaker. I study hard and I dedicate myself, but I know I have my limitations. So what I want to tell you here, the first thing I want to tell you is, because we're no native speakers, prepositions will be challenging. And let me tell you something. I watch many YouTubers, many native speakers, and some native speakers confuse prepositions too. It happens. Think about your language. I speak Portuguese. There are things that I don't know in Portuguese and I speak incorrectly. Don't you know people that speak your language incorrectly? The same happens to English, okay? Some people speak English correctly, despite the fact of being native speakers. So chill, because prepositions are painful to everybody, native and non-native speakers, okay? Do you agree with that? Let me know here in the chat. I like when you guys participate in the chat. It makes me happy. Well, it makes me happy to know that you guys are enjoying. So first thing, it is important to review, okay? I think my main message here, all the tips that I'm gonna give you guys, they will be connected to the importance of reviewing the prepositions, reviewing the rules, reviewing the explanations, because it never ends, okay? But that doesn't mean it has to be a bad thing. I'm not trying to be negative here, okay? That's not my intention. But I like to be honest. I like to be positive, but I don't like to be like Pollyanna, crazy, positive Pollyanna. This is an expression in English, okay? I don't want to be all like happy and positive when I'm not saying the truth, all right? But I'm not trying to be negative either. I'm trying to be cool. All right. The first tip, no matter what your level is. I'm fluent, I still do this, okay? I still do this. Go back to the basics. Even if you have already studied them. If you have already studied the basic prepositions, my friend, I'm sorry to break it to you. You will go back to the basics and you will have to review those prepositions. And the most common ones are in, on, at, to, and for. These guys are confusing. And because they are confusing and because there are many rules for these prepositions, we need to go back to them more often, more frequently. So, as I told you, I'm a teacher, I am fluent. Every week I'm going to teach someone about prepositions. I do some research. I do the review. I check. I make sure that I remember the rules because everybody forgets. We're human beings, okay? Just because I'm a teacher doesn't mean that I will remember everything, that I will know everything. So I review the prepositions, even the basic ones. So let's say tomorrow no, but I think next week I have a student to whom I'll be teaching prepositions. I will have to review before I teach him because I know that it's part of the game, okay? And even though it is a basic study, you will have to go back. With my private students, I like to use the American English Files series, okay? It's a course book. I've talked about this book here on my channel. It is a good book, so I definitely recommend. But why am I talking about this book? This is not advertisement, okay? In all the books, there are 5 books, okay? They review the prepositions in all the books. Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, Book 4, Book 5. They go back to the prepositions and review the prepositions and give a little bit more information and review some explanations, some basic explanations. And why do they do that? Well, exactly because of the reason I told you. They are rules, we forget them. And sometimes it is difficult for our brain to understand, to figure out how to use the prepositions, okay? I also want to say, yes, my friend who is American speaks incorrectly. It happens, okay? Of course, they don't make the same mistakes we make, but they do make mistakes in English, okay? It happens to any language, including English. So my first tip is, if you are feeling a little bit lost about prepositions, I recommend you go back to the basics. You will go back to in, on, at, to, for, about, with, okay, by, and you will study them again. All right. I don't have many videos here on my channel about prepositions. I do have, I think, 3 or 4 videos, okay? But there are many good channels here on YouTube. English with Ronnie. I love her, and she has many preposition videos. I think I don't know if it's double N or one N. Okay, I think it's English with Ronnie. I love this girl. She's amazing. I think she's Australian. I don't know, okay? I know she's a native speaker. She's really good. And she has many preposition videos. She's been on YouTube longer than me. I think she has like a million or 2 million subscribers. She's really cool. So I recommend her channel. It's really nice. There are other channels, guys. So if you need to study the prepositions, as I'm telling you, going back to the basics, and you can't find videos on my channel, you can go on Google, on YouTube search bar and look up the prepositions you want to, okay? So this is something that I recommend. No, this video is live, so if I make mistakes here, my friends, that's a live mistake. So yeah. Oh, she's Canadian. Okay, I didn't know she was Canadian. That's why she's so friendly. Canadian people are super friendly. That's why. So I recommend you go there and you check out her channel. She has many prepositions videos. So as I say, why does she have many preposition videos? Probably because she feels the same way. English learners always have to review them no matter what the level, okay? So sometimes I am with my intermediate and advanced students, and when I talk to them, hey, it's preposition day, they're like, oh, teacher, not again. But yeah, we need to include prepositions in our lives, okay? Anyway, moving on. The second tip I have for you: study words plus prepositions. Okay, it's important to study the prepositions individually. Okay, you have to study the prepositions individually, but you can also study them with adjectives, nouns, and verbs. And this also confuses many students. Okay, they don't learn verbs plus prepositions, adjectives plus prepositions, nouns plus prepositions. So this is something that I recommend you study as well, okay? So here on YouTube, you can find many videos about prepositions plus adjectives plus prepositions, nouns, verbs. On Google, you can go to Google, but again, be in moderation, okay? The thing I'm gonna tell you now, like, do that in moderation. You can find lists on on Google, that will show you lists of adjectives plus prepositions, lists of nouns plus prepositions, and lists of verbs plus prepositions. And when I say verb plus prepositions, I am not talking about phrasal verbs, okay? Not talking about phrasal verbs. I'm just talking about verbs that are followed by specific prepositions. That's what I'm talking about. And here, when you study these lists, you can use tip number 1. You can use basic prepositions: in, on, at, to, for, that students usually confuse, and work on adjectives, nouns, and verbs. Correcting this will help you a lot. Studying this will help you improve, okay? I've had many private students, and this is a common problem. Sometimes they are confusing prepositions when there's not really a rule to study, but just memorizing that with this word I have to use in, with that word I have to use for, with this word I have to use to. No option, no negotiation, no explanation. It's just a matter of memorizing. So this is something that I recommend you spend some time working on, okay? You don't need to be hours and hours studying and doing exercises of prepositions, but watching some lessons, studying some lists, not very long lists. And I believe here that you can focus on adjectives, nouns, and verbs that you know, okay? When you find those lists, for example, you found a list that has, I don't know, 50 prepositions and 50 nouns and 50 verbs and adjectives. So what you can do is you can focus on the words you know. Oh, okay, I know amazed. Oh, I know interested. Oh, I know worried. Okay, so I will focus on these ones, because then you can study the prepositions that follow these words that you already know. This is also a very productive way to study, okay? So this is a very important recommendation that I have for you guys. When you study adjectives, nouns, and verbs that you know, it'll be easier for you to memorize the preposition that follows these words that you are studying and that you know already, okay? But again, everything in moderation. I don't want you to go crazy on the preposition lists, because they don't help, okay? When I was a student, I was a teacher already, but I was still a student for a long time, and I still am in a way. I was crazy about lists. I was the list girl. I was crazy about making lists and lists and lists. But then after some time, I realized that I was not really using those lists, okay? So today I'm very careful with the lists I make. If I'm not using them, they go away, okay? I just focus on words that I'm really using and that are really helping me somehow. So when you sit down to study prepositions, think about the most common mistakes you make, the confusions you make, prepositions that you think, oh my God, this is so confusing. These are the ones you should study. There are many prepositions, but we can't focus on all of them at once, okay? Take your time. As I told you, we're not talking about a 1 month journey or a 2 month journey. I'm talking about a lifetime journey, okay? In 10 years, you will still be studying prepositions. I'll be studying prepositions as well, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Next, final tip of the night: read and watch. Now, this is a little bit more passive depending on how you do it, okay? So I have two options here. You can passively study prepositions through reading and watching videos, TV series, or you can actively study by reading and watching movies, TV series, etc. Okay, so it depends on what you're looking for. If you want something more active, you have an option. If you want something more passive, you have an option too. It's just that you will understand more intuitively. So it depends on what you're going to do. It depends on the time you have to dedicate to the routine, okay? Now, the way I see it, when you read articles, when you watch TV series, you can help your brain understand prepositions because you will be in direct contact with prepositions. So it can be a productive way to study, okay? That being said, if you don't actively read the article, what do I mean by actively reading? Because you're reading, so you're being active. Let's say you are at lunch break. And then you see something really interesting. Oh, okay, so this is happening right now. And then you decide to read it. But you just read very quickly and then you go back to work. That's not really being very active, okay? So when I say active, you will read the text, you will pay attention, you will focus on the prepositions being used, you will try to see the patterns. So I believe this is a more active and more productive way to study, and this will require a little bit more time. So at lunchtime, unless you have a long lunch time, then this is not going to work, okay? You don't need to do this every day though. It's fine if you do this once a week. It depends on your routine and it depends on your priority. With my students, I prioritize. If I notice they are making way too many mistakes with prepositions, then I'll be giving more exercises to focus on prepositions and spend more time on that, okay? Now, by watching TV series, it's the same thing. If you're just watching for fun, to relax, you're tired, it's the end of the day and you want to do something relaxing, you will not study prepositions, okay? This is more like a passive way to study. It's not a very productive way to study because you're having a relaxing moment, you're having fun. So at this moment, if it's just to relax, just do it, okay? Now, if you want to take advantage of that opportunity and really watch that show with a purpose in mind, then go for it, okay? Then you can pause sometimes, you can pay attention and see what prepositions get your attention, and then based on that you can take some notes on some particular phrases you saw during the video that used prepositions and that you didn't know, and that is something you can learn and explore. So this is a productive way to study. You don't need to do this during all the video, all the episode, because it would be very tiring, okay? But if some phrases catch your attention, this is the moment when you can pause, look at the preposition and think, oh, okay, this is something different. This is something that I would like to take notes and study later. So this is something I do. I do that myself, okay? Whenever I'm watching a TV series episode and I see something that catches my attention, whether in English or in Italian, in both languages now, because I study both, if there's something interesting, I pause and I take notes, okay? And then I review and study them later, okay? So it depends on what you're doing, okay? So this is a valuable way, this is a very productive way to study, but it depends on how much time you have to dedicate to this, okay? Other than that, my friends, what prepositions are difficult for you? And as I said here, would you like a preposition series? Let me know here in the comments. I would really appreciate your feedback if you want more preposition lessons, a preposition series. I can come up with a very nice series for you if you are interested in that, okay? If it's something you would like to see, let me know. Other than that, have a lovely day or a lovely night, and I will see you tomorrow for another English lesson. Thank you. Bye-bye.